Today I'd like to talk to you about a new air travel tax which is suggested by the Netherlands. I initially was thinking about talking about the relevance of the European elections, but this came up this week and I think it's very relevant to talk about it. Before I do that, I'd just like to advertise my regular columns on fee.org. So that's the Foundation for Economic Education. It's a great website to learn about economics and the ideas of liberty. So please check that out. I'm going to put my author profile down below. I almost wrote 100 articles so far for Fee, who've reached over 50,000 social media shares. So do check it out and support Fee if you can. The Netherlands now suggested a new levy on air travel. So the Dutch Secretary of Finance, I think, I'm not quite sure, he suggested in a position paper a tax of €7, which would be additional and EU-wide. This proposal is supposed to reduce the amount of low-cost air travel in particular, and the Secretary of State says he wants to avoid people jetting around Europe on low-cost airlines. This tax is already practiced in a number of countries, notably the Netherlands, who have seen a reduction in passengers because of their tax. So the reality of the thing is that if you can take a low-cost airline in Amsterdam, but with including the transfer costs, you can say, well, if I take a train to Brussels and I take the plane there, with Belgium not having the tax, in that case, or maybe Germany, in that case, it was an advantage, and you had advantageous consumer prices. Now, since then, some countries have also introduced this tax, but some still don't, and the Netherlands regards this as unfair. Now, 3 countries have already joined the proposal in supporting it, notably France, Belgium, and Finland, which are, of course, the most tax-friendly countries in Europe and the European Union. And the result of this is clear. The €7 that you levy on top of it are going to be paid by the consumer, and they're going to be put on the prices of those low-cost airlines, which are mostly convenient for low-income consumers. It's not really the politicians that are really bothered by this. I mean, EU officials and other government officials have already their business class seats paid for by the government, if maybe they also have a private jet in the first place. So they're not really concerned. For them, it's just it doesn't really change much. They're not really affected by the consumer prices. But those people who sometimes want to afford a little trip to see their family and friends, those are the most affected. Just imagine you're a student from a country such as let's say Romania, Bulgaria, or any of the Balkan countries, and you study abroad. You took up a loan. You took up a student debt in order to be able to study in the UK or Ireland or Germany or wherever, and you see your family once in a while. You want to visit your family 3, 4, 5 times a year, according to national festivities and so on, or a birthday. And now a low-cost carrier such as EasyJet or Wizz Air or Ryanair gave you the ability to travel more often, but now with additional taxes, given that you have to count it for a round trip, those costs keep adding up. You keep putting taxes on those people who are most affected by them. People who already spend €400 on a single journey won't be too bothered by the €7. But for some people, €7 is a considerable addition to the cost of their trip. And what you also have to consider that some people don't take the trip at all if those costs are put on top of it. Now, the environmentalist crowd is, of course, cheering this. So let's say if 2% of the passengers drop out of the journey completely by plane because of the tax levy, the environmentalists are happy. The argument from some of the governments, though, is that it is an additional revenue. So we can raise €200 million on top of what we already raise in taxes. For those who think that this is a great idea, next time you book a flight, just check out how much in tax you already pay on a standard ticket right now. And now think that the EU should add an additional one, I don't think is very fair. I think it is actually a drain on poor people, and all the people who claim to be for this environmental policy in order to reduce low-cost airlines, they are essentially anti-poor. They claim to be the most virtuous people, but they are the ones who are anti-poor. I'm very much against this proposal. And I also think it just adds on top of the feeling that people already have now in France with the yellow vests and so on and so forth, that the government is continuously reducing your purchasing power and just taking away as much as it can. The fortunate news is that this is a taxation issue, unless they can circumvent it somehow with Article 116 of the Lisbon Treaty by claiming it to be a single market imbalance. But essentially this would be a tax, and if declared as a tax issue, it can be vetoed by countries today. So hopefully countries will come out soon against this. Spain already said it was skeptical. Pretty sure Ireland will have some notable concerns about this. So hopefully countries will block this proposal. But in order to do so, you also need to voice your opinions. This is something that really affects you. All of us are using low-cost carriers on a regular basis, and it is convenient, and it has made travel affordable for so many people. We don't want to live in a system as other continents have, where air travel is not as affordable in Europe. This is one of the big advantages visiting Europe is the low-cost travel. So I think we should preserve that. But do let me know if you disagree, and yeah, see you next time.